Hey, welcome back, folks. How do you feel? You've learned. I love this. Are we all salespeople in our businesses? Absolutely we are, aren't we? I'm going to share with you now my formula for how you can multiply time. You might be thinking, Mark, are you really an accountant? You can't multiply time because there are only 24 hours in a day. Well, in fact, you would be 100% correct. Without trying to get down to too much detail, there are in fact 86,400 seconds in a day. Now, how many people actually knew that? Is that of any relevance whatsoever? The answer is no. But the answer is, in terms of actually multiplying time, it's how you spend, or more importantly, how you invest your precious 86,400 seconds in a day. Because sometimes we do things that maybe other people could do. So I've created a formula called the Preach Formula. So I'm going to be operating from the flip chart, plus I will be following my PowerPoint up here. So the Preach Formula is something, just for a bit of background, yes, I've been a chartered accountant for over 30 years, but my passion is numbers. And I have been, for the last 6 years, up until probably 6 months ago, the time management and productivity presenter at the Chamber of Commerce. And that has been something which has been, it's actually, I was always ever going to be a teacher or an accountant. You know, my mother said, Mark, you've got to use your brains because I do not have a handyman bone in my body. So she said, Mark, you've got to use your brains. And I thought, when I had hair, I had fiery red hair, freckles to burn, I was a chubby wee kid, and I used to get a lot of stick from people. And I thought, and I had the worst temper in the whole wide world. And so the best thing that ever happened to me was playing rugby league. So I wasn't a bad rugby league player, and I vented stuff actually out there on the field. But again, I'm more of an educator now. So this is what is my passion, education. So I'm becoming more of a teacher than maybe the accounting. So I'm going to share with you maybe part of my journey. But again, think about this as your part of your journey, about if you're stuck in a rut or you think maybe you could be doing something different in your business, maybe this Preach Formula will be able to help. And I've done lots and lots of sessions with people at the Chamber of Commerce, and I've learned lots about time management, lots of books, lots of courses. I've invested a huge amount of money in my personal development, and I throw that out there because, like you, we have to have professional development hours, and I can go to those things and I could be yawning off, do you know what I mean? Oh, God, tax, tax 101. But I go to the courses that are exciting, how to grow your business, then I get my points up or my sort of credits up by doing those. So, we've got an hour together with me now, so I am still going to keep it alive. So hopefully you will actually appreciate the formula that I'm talking about, because if you can multiply time, you have the ability to multiply the profitability, cash flow, and value of your business. Now, I wasn't here when Damien presented, so I don't know what he actually said, but when you come to finally retire, effectively, are your businesses able to be sold? Is there a value in your business? When you come to the day happens where you decide, I'm pulling the pin, is there some value in your business? Question mark. Yes or no? Yes, oh, that's good. So yes, just say yes, because you're going to create a really, really exciting sort of business. You can actually go away from here and have 4 choices, do absolutely nothing, and say, Mark, enjoyed it, yep, he was a bit of a different accountant, not your typical accountant. Hey, that's good, that'd be good, that'd be nice, hopefully got you energised a wee bit. You could retreat, go back to the office, whatever you're doing, have a nice weekend away, and then maybe try a few things that you might share or learn over the weekend, but then things get busy again. Does that happen sometimes? You come back and you're all fired up, but then you get that problem, you've got to do that. I can see people nodding their heads. It happens, doesn't it? Or you could take a normal amount of action. And normal is where, hey, you might do a few things, you get a few gains, improve a bit of your cash flow, you've learned a wee bit from the accountant and maybe understand the balance sheet a wee bit more. But again, you sort of don't go to the extreme in terms of saying, hey, how can we really take this business or my business to another level? And the other one is, you take a massive amount of action, which again says you've got to do things differently from what you're doing now. And if we were going on a trip, we actually say, hey, what is the destination we're going to? So what is the point you want to go to in terms of your business? Because this is know your numbers to grow your numbers. It's all about how do you improve the numbers, okay? I'm now going to talk a wee bit about dollars and cents, but more importantly, about our most precious resource, which is time, okay? Then I'm going to talk more about the actual dollars and cents side of it. So how many people in the room here have some sort of roadmap, a business plan? Okay, no, that's good. No, okay, some of you, good on you, I know Ryan has because we've put one together. How many of you have a budget where you actually monitor your results on a regular basis? Good on you, John. I met John at the break. Well done. Wow! Opportunity for an accountant, isn't it, here? Not one person apart from John put their hands up. So the answer is, here's me, the numbers and cents, guys. You'll see I've got a banner up here called Up Your Flight Path to Success. This is a brand where we're saying, hey, upskill, upgrade, uplift. So again, show of hands so I can actually put this on camera. How many people use Xero in the room here? How many people don't use Xero? That's cool, that's fine. So the answer is a lot of you are doing that. So that's the plug for Xero. Every accountant should have a formula. And I've been to seminar after seminar, and they say, you've got to come up with something that people will remember you by. And I've come up with lots of formulas, got whiz-bang formulas. This is the one that has stuck with me, and I believe this is what I'm writing a book on how to multiply time. So I actually do some interesting things. Now, in terms of actually understanding this particular formula, we're just going to go through and understand what the P, the R, the E, the A, CH is. Now, you'll notice here, there's the word preach. What's that phrase? Practice what you preach. So there's three messages in here. So practice what I preach, sharing some of the knowledge that I'm sharing with you, we do for ourselves. Then R-E-A-C-H spells what? Reach. So we've got to reach towards some sort of goal. We've actually got to have some aspirational goals to aim towards to inspire us. Because if you just do what you did last year, plus 5%, it doesn't motivate you. And the other word that comes within this formula is each. It's up to each one of us. Now, again, in the room, how many people of you actually employ staff, have actually got employees? How many of you don't employ, you own the business, but you work on your own? Okay, so this message is aimed at everybody in the room, okay? Because the only way that you can multiply time is you've only got how many hours? You might work 8 hours a day. That's your lot for you as an individual. This message is for everybody in that business as to what they all need to look at the formula to say, how can I take some of the pressure off the owner or other people in the business for them to do what they're good at, leaving me to do what I'm good at. And I think sometimes that is a hard thing for a business owner to do, to let go. Nobody can do it as well as I can. Do any of you, no, don't put your hand up here, but maybe some of you might suffer from that. There's nobody can do it like I can. And that is probably the killer of a lot of businesses. So what does the preach formula stand for? And I'll just put this down. So the P, and my little formula, this is where the accountant comes out of me, but it starts with, the actual formula starts with, what is that? Question mark. And the word that I want to put up here is, in fact I'm going to do that in red so it all stays out the same. What do you think I'm going to write up there? Anybody? Prize? No, not prize. No, the answer is, what is your purpose? Why do you come to work today? Is it because that's what you did yesterday? Or is it because, hey, listen, that's what I've always done, and that's I'm not going to change. The definition of insanity, continuing to do the same thing over and over again. So, what is my purpose? And I've toyed with this for a long, long time, and I've come up with different sort of purposes, but it comes back to know your numbers, to help clients know your numbers, to grow your numbers. To me, that's what my passion is about. And the number I'm talking about here is time, because time, in fact, is our most precious resource. But if you were to look at a financial set of accounts, like we did with Pete's personalised pens, did I actually have on there anywhere time? Have you ever seen on a profit and loss account or a balance sheet time? So the answer is, I just throw this analogy or this number out there. So if you work 2,000 hours a year, now you probably work a lot more. You know, a lot of people that are self-employed work the weekends. People have no idea the number of hours they work. And you earn $70,000 a year. I'm just putting a figure out there. What is your average hourly rate for what you've achieved? So the business earns you $70,000. You've worked 2,000 hours personally to achieve that, but you've got staff working for you. What is the average hourly rate that you've achieved as a business owner? 70,000 divided by 2,000 hours is $35 an hour, isn't it? It's $35 an hour. Now, we talked about there's 4 things you can do in terms of the definition of insanity. You can go for normal action, or you can go for massive action. So if I said to you, if we could get so that formula, just to show you up right here, how I got that was, the formula that I use for people is, sorry Carl, is profit divided by time. So, if you've earned $70,000 for the year, and you've worked 2,000 hours, your average hourly rate is $35 an hour. Agree? Okay, so now the key is, if you said, if I could double that hourly rate from $35 to $70 an hour, what would be the things that you could do to achieve that goal? What do you think? Would you try and increase the profit, or would you spend less hours or work more hours? Increase the profit, but then can you work more than 2,000 hours? So the answer is, you've really got to say, hey, I could work 4,000 hours, and you could do that. You know, it would be pretty tough. You'd be sleeping less and seeing less of the family. But the answer is, to get it from $35 an hour to $70 an hour, you just might work a bit harder and achieve that goal, okay? But you'll stress the max out of yourself, and you'll be going off to the doctor and having sort of health problems. So the key is to say, if I said to you then, what if you wanted to take that goal to $350 an hour? How would you have to think then? Differently? Positively. Now, now positively is good. That's I'm alive and well and I feel great from the swap club. But the answer is, yes, you've got to think, but it's taking different action. But it's not about just you taking the action. That's what the message is. You've only got so many hours. Work to what you're actually good at. So the answer is, if we wanted to go from $35 an hour, and we'll put it up to $350 an hour, we have to think massively differently. Okay? Now, so following through on the formula. So the purpose, it starts with a question mark. Now, this is where the accountant comes out of me. So the R stands for, what is the result? What is the result that you are looking for? Now, so in this case here, you might be earning $170,000. You don't mind. You know, you're happy with what you've got. You don't want the profit. You don't care about the profit going up. You want more time for yourself. So every one of us here have different goals. But the R stands for, what is the result we're looking for out of our business? Okay, so it could be more time, more profit, more leisure time. We're all different. So with a formula, equals. So something has to happen. There are things that have to happen for you to achieve a greater profit, okay? Because you can't increase profit. I'm going to share that with you in the second half of this presentation. You cannot increase profit. You can only increase the drivers that give you that result. Make sense? And I'll show you that when I do a spreadsheet in a moment. Hopefully it will come up on the screen this time. So the result, and now, so we're now saying you've got a purpose. If you haven't got a purpose, maybe that's what you've got to find. How do you free up time? How do you multiply your time? You don't multiply time because we've all got the same amount of time. And I want to dispel a myth right now. There is no such thing as time management. Time manages itself pretty well. It just keeps rolling on every single day. The only thing that you can manage is yourself. It's called self-management, not time management. It's self-management. And must admit, it was an aha moment for me. I'd be talking about, I'm doing this time management course. But you're the problem, I'm the problem. We can't blame anybody else, okay? You can think, hey, it's all about the clients and the problem. So now we've got to say, how do we actually free up some time for ourselves? And the first E is, what can you subtract from your current life that you're doing? Or another word for subtract is, what can you eliminate? So what are some of the things that you're doing in your business that effectively somebody else could be doing? Now, if you were brutally honest, and when I come back to that calculation of are you achieving $35 an hour, I think we kid ourselves that we've only worked 2,000 hours, or whether it's 1,950, whatever the average is, you know. Sometimes business owners are doing 3,000 hours. We just say, let's use 2,000 just to make the result look a little bit better. But would you agree that we work sometimes longer than 2,000 hours? Well, I know I certainly have. You know, I'm being brutally honest here. I've worked long hours. I've got 3 kids. They're all grown up now, but I spend a lot of time at the office. But in some ways, I'm inspired by that at the same time. But I love my family, and so you've got to get that sort of work-life balance. So what are some of the things that you could eliminate? Are there certain meetings that you go to or you hold that you maybe shouldn't have? I wear a few hats just to make it a wee bit more memorable. So can everybody see that hat? What does it actually say on the front? On. What do you think it might say at the back? No, off? No, it's not off. What else? What other things? So, anyone have another guess? No, it's not no. It's in. Have you heard that phrase? You should go to work on your business, versus in your business. Quite different. If I'm an accountant that does tax returns, that does cash flow forecasts and budgets, that's working in the business. That's what an accountant does. On the business is attending a conference like this. It is sitting down with my business advisors, with like Carl, to go to work on my business, which is how do I spend time today that is going to create more time in the future? Does that make sense? So if you write a system or a procedure now, because we carry a lot of stuff around in our heads, and often we say you need to have some sort of systems manual or procedures manual, and it never gets done. And that person leaves the office, and where's all that intellectual property gone? Potentially gone with that person. Has that happened to you? Do you carry stuff around in your head? The answer is you've got to put it into a system. That's automation. You create the system, you write the system once, it is there forever and a day. It creates time in the future. That's a really, really important message. So invest now, automate where you can. So go to work on your business, which is coming to courses, not in your business. Spend time doing the stuff that really is going to be important for your business. The C, I'm going to come back to the C, but effectively it is the multiplication and it is the word concentrate. What are the things that you are really, really good at and you would like to be doing more of it, but all of this other stuff that maybe other people in your business could do just as well, if not better than you, if you freed up their time to actually eliminate some stuff they're doing, to take on some of the things that you want to pass down to them, but it will actually give you the chance to actually do more of what you do. 20% or 80% of what we do, you could systemize, automate, do those sort of things. It's the personalizing of it, which is the X factor that is what people want nowadays. They want value, they want the 20% that you can't, machine or something can't do. So this artificial intelligence, it's affecting all of us. Would you agree? Absolutely, it is. And we are no different in terms of our industry. So we have now got to move from compliance to reliance, where people are saying, hey, yes, I can talk to my accountant about growing my numbers, which is really, really important. And I'll come back to that in a moment. But the other one here, and this is the thing where this is the divide sign, and this is asking for help or getting other people to help. Another word for that is delegate. How can I delegate some of the things that I'm doing? It still needs to be done, but am I the right person to be doing it? You've got to ask yourself that question. Could I pay somebody? Again, I don't know what your average hourly rate is for the work that you do, what you charge. I know I had a bit of a chat with Ryan about this. Do you actually have timesheets? And he said, no, we don't. It's all about getting throughput in terms of all the stuff that you do. But at the end of the day, you've kind of got to charge that rate to achieve what you do with your product at the end. And I certainly think that if there's stuff that you can do effectively $200 an hour, and you're doing a job which is $10 an hour, that you could pay somebody $10 an hour to do, like paying bills. It could be just something as simple as that. Clearing your emails, going to get the mail. That is money that you could be investing at $200 an hour if the work was there to do it. Does that make sense? But I find that sometimes we're so busy, we just have always done that, but we've never actually thought, could I employ somebody to actually do that? And that's what we did with our credit control. We said, rather than get one of my team, they could be better doing accounts, let's get somebody in who does this on a subcontract basis, works really, really well. So can I ask for help? Now, coming back to concentrate, what are the things that you need to concentrate on your business? So we're now talking about how do we go from $35 an hour to $350 an hour without working any more time, which means effectively we've got to get the profit up. That's what we're going to be talking about pretty much for the rest of the session. So $35 to $150 to $350 an hour. It's up to each one of us to be involved in this. It's not just up to the owner of the business, it's up to the team members to say, what should we stop doing? It's up to each one of us to actually have a part to play in this whole sort of scheme of things. Okay? There is only 5 things that you can do to grow the profitability of a business. And most of them aren't financial. Okay? So just in terms of the spreadsheet up here, let's keep an eye on that time. So there are 5 ways. Leads. What are the leads you're getting into your business? We'll go through these in a bit of detail. What is your conversion rate in terms of how do you actually, the leads that come to you, i.e. through your marketing or whatever you're doing in terms of promoting yourself, that becomes customers times transaction frequency, how often do they deal with you, how much do they spend with you on the average, that gives you your revenue, and then we've talked about margin earlier today with Pete's personalised pen. So Pete, Carl, you missed this, but Pete sells his pen for $2. It costs him how much to buy that pen? 50 cents, he's made $1.50 gross margin, but then he had to pay his rates or his rent, and he also had to pay his advertising. So when we talk about margin, it's what comes back to you after all expenses. Direct costs, which is the material costs or the purchase of the pens, minus the actual overheads of your business. Okay, so that's what we refer to a margin. So I'm not going to touch on that because we did that in the first half. Okay, so we went through the Pete's personalised pens. Now, the thing is, you'll see some numbers up there that are in red and some that are in black. Which do you think are the most important numbers actually up on that screen? The ones in black or the ones in red? No, that is the result. As I said before, to get a result, it is because of the drivers that give you that result. You cannot increase the profit of your business. You can only increase the number of leads, which then you have to convert them into actually customers. And once you've actually got a customer, that is a result. So you cannot increase the number of customers, you can only increase the number of leads and your conversion rate. So once you've actually got them as a customer, then we've got to say, how often do they come back? So how do you get them to come back in terms of the denture side of things? You know, so we're going to go through the exercise, but once you've got the number of the transaction frequency, the average transaction value, that brings your annual sales times your margin. Now, we're going to just do a few numbers, but if we come back to leads, what actually is a lead? When you think about marketing, what is a lead to you? It's an opportunity. Somebody has come to you. How did they come to you? It could have been through a referral. Now, I mentioned in my bio that I belong to an organisation called BNI, Business Network International. How many people belong to BNI in this room? Well, okay. What are the things that we can do to improve the revenue or the sales and our profitability of our business? One, we need to generate more leads. How do we get those leads? Increase the conversion rate. How do we get it from someone coming off the street or ringing you up and saying, listen, I want to do business with you more than what it currently is? Increase the transaction frequency, i.e. how can you get them coming back more often? And is there opportunities to do that in your industry, for them to come back more often? To get the Sorry? Don't do a good job, do you say? Or do a bad job. But, you know, that's interesting. I know it's a joke. But again, I suppose in some ways, even with an accounting firm, you know, sometimes we could just spend more time doing stuff, but it's not about actually, it's what the client perceives as value, isn't it? And in terms of you have to do rework and they have to keep coming back, they'll get frustrated. They'll tell their friends. Because I don't know what the statistic is, but it's pretty mean that people say they vote with their feet. You know what I mean? They go and tell supposedly 11 people about something bad that happened, but if you do something good, I think they tell 2 or 3. There's some unbalanced sort of statistic. So how can you increase the number of transactions? Increase the transaction value, get them to put. Now, the quickest way to increase the actual transaction value is to put your prices up, because 10% increase, if you've got a 30% gross margin, you can afford to lose 25% of all your customers. Apply that formula to your business, okay? That comes into the margin part of that formula. So where I've got the before on that spreadsheet, margin is all about things we've already talked about. And increase the profit margins, which is what we did with the Pete's personalised pens. Think about everything that comes into your world. Your sieving, you only want the stuff to come out the bottom. That is what your specialist area is, that you really enjoy doing, that you are inspired, you're fascinated and motivated with doing that. Not all this other stuff. Delegate that. If you eliminate it, does it go into the sieve at all? Stop doing it. Can you automate something? As soon as you automate it, get a machine to do it, then it doesn't come into your world, okay? You're not trying to just balance all this stuff. Can you get some help? Delegate it. So it doesn't get in here, it gets passed off to somebody else. So the only stuff that's coming through that sieve is the stuff that you should be concentrating your time on. Hence the reason it's got the multiplication sign. Spend more of your time. How do you multiply time? Because there are still only 86,400 seconds in a day, 24 hours. It is through getting rid of the stuff that you don't enjoy doing and doing the stuff that you do enjoy. And the one great idea, I go to all these courses and they give you hats, and actually they're quite inspirational. So this says, what's the one great idea you're going to take from today? Because ladies and gentlemen, there are only 3 sorts of people in this world. There are those that make it happen. There are those that let it happen. And there are those that wonder what happened. Go out there, enjoy the rest of the conference, go out there and make it happen. Thank you.